So it looks like Ryan Reynolds is looking to get dismissed from the lawsuit and I guess abandon his wife to just go through it alone.
Ryan Reynolds didn't just walk out of court on March 18th, 2025. He sprinted. One moment his name sat beside Blake Lively's on the hottest defamation case in the industry, and the next he was filing a motion that screamed, "I'm done. Let her handle the fire." Hollywood gasped. Tabloids circled like sharks. And somewhere in the chaos, Justin Baldoni quietly smiled.
Ryan Reynolds' rep calls him the man Justin Baldoni built his brand pretending to be in firing.
Because if Reynolds was bolting, something downright radioactive had to be sitting in the lawsuit's evidence locker. But the real question is simple. How did a celebrity power couple go from red carpet royalty to legal adversaries overnight? And why is Reynolds now pretending he doesn't even own a wedding ring? Let's rewind the tape, lift the curtain, and expose the carefully hidden gears that turned a private feud into a multi-million-dollar meltdown. It started with a lawsuit that looked more like a magic trick. On September 27, 2024.
This case has now, I think, already been dismissed, right, Ron? So this has already been filed and done with the date of September 27th in New York.
A company called Van Zandt Inc. strolled into a New York courthouse and filed a complaint so vague it could have been Mad Libs. No defendants, no detailed claims, just placeholders, John Doe, Jane Doe, you know who. Yet two details off the page. The address traced back to Blake Lively's PR nexus, and the corporate paperwork listed Blake Reynolds as a principal.
And is really going to expose Blake Lively and Ryan Reynolds for the conniving people that they are.
Translation: Blake had conjured a shell to gain subpoena power without ever saying whom she planned to sue. Legal analysts called it process abuse in designer heels, but the move worked. The moment the clerk's stamp hit the page, Lively's lawyers could legally demand phone records, emails, anything they dreamed up. As far as smoke bomb first moves go, it was breathtaking. And guess who noticed? Justin Baldoni. The actor-director had seen PR warfare before, but even he hadn't witnessed a stealth lawsuit designed purely to dig for dirt. To him, Van Zandt Inc. wasn't about justice. It was a fishing expedition with a diamond-encrusted rod. If the lawsuit was bait, what they hauled up next was dynamite. Enter Stephanie Jones, an ex-publicist with access to industry phones, and a weirdly handy familiarity with Cellbrite, the forensic software cops use to crack locked devices. According to Baldoni's complaint, Jones slipped a handset belonging to producer Jennifer Ale into the machine, sucked out months of private texts, and forwarded the juiciest exchanges straight to Blake's PR chief, Leslie Sloan. No warrant. No court order. Nothing but ambition and maybe a grudge. Within days, those messages warped into an explosive New York Times expose that painted Baldoni as Hollywood's charming hypocrite, preaching consent while allegedly stepping over the line. The article hit on December 21, 2024, just 48 hours after Van Zandt Inc. quietly withdrew its own case. That's like staging a bank heist and accidentally premiering your new Lamborghini the next morning. Anyone with a pulse could see the subpoenas were never meant to stand. They were a Trojan horse, a legal pretext to hack a phone, grab private gossip, and detonate it in a paper of record. But the moment that bomb went off, Baldoni didn't crumble. He counter-punched. January 5. Baldoni files a blistering complaint in Los Angeles Superior Court, naming Blake, Ryan, Vision PR, Leslie Sloan, and Van Zandt Inc. He isn't just suing for defamation. He's calling the operation a racketeering scheme designed to ice his career. The damages? $400 million. That number wasn't random. It represented lost directing deals, canceled studio meetings, and the scorched earth disappearance of his memoir option overnight. In one paragraph, Baldoni labels Blake's tactic a weaponized fairy tale. In another, he describes Reynolds' marketing machine as a megaphone for malicious rumor. And then he drops the phrase every publicist hates: pattern of coordinated misconduct. Because once misconduct becomes a pattern, juries stop seeing accidents and start smelling strategy. If the complaint lit the fuse, Ryan Reynolds' next move detonated the entire Hollywood rumor mill. On March 18, 2025, the date now etched in entertainment law history, Reynolds' attorneys marched into the same New York court and asked for a personal ejector seat. Their argument was as cheeky as Reynolds' Deadpool jokes. Sure, he called Baldoni a predator in private texts, but that was just an opinion. First Amendment, baby. Besides, they said, Hollywood thrives on spicy conversations. If actors can't vent in DMs, artistry dies. The filing dripped with Reynolds brand sarcasm, even referencing online critics who'd labeled him and Blake bullies. It read less like a legal brief and more like a quippy press release. Reynolds hadn't defamed anyone. He'd exercised robust expressive rights, but buried in the motion was the unspoken admission everyone else heard loud and clear. Reynolds wanted out, fast, because the discovery stage was coming. And discovery means emails, contracts, Slack logs, marketing drafts, every skeleton clasping pom-poms in the corporate closet. Yet even as Reynolds sprinted for daylight, one cinematic stunt threatened to nail him to the case forever. Deadpool fans went ballistic when teaser posters for Nice Pool surfaced in early 2025. The masked anti-hero looked suspiciously taller, leaner, with a trademark Baldoni-style 5 o'clock shadow poking through the mask. Social media joked that Reynolds had created a Baldoni skin for his franchise. Then, Nice Pool's backstory hit. A motivational speaker who secretly objectified women, met by an explosion that reduced him to ash. Baldoni's lawyers nearly fainted with gratitude, because parody is protected, unless the court thinks you're targeting a real person with malice. And malice is exactly what Baldoni alleged. During a May podcast, Reynolds laughed, "Nice pool? Just a commentary on toxicity, nothing personal." But screenshots revealed early drafts labeling the character Justin B. That slip, from internal Marvel story notes, landed in Baldoni's exhibit binder like a smoking gun. Reynolds' free speech defense suddenly looked more like a water pistol. While fans argued over satire, tabloids zeroed in on whispers that Reynolds and Lively were living separate lives. By late March, the power couple's once routine sidewalk paparazzi walks vanished. Instead, Blake was spotted entering their Bedford estate alone, while Ryan filmed reshoots in Atlanta, yet checked into a downtown penthouse, not their shared property nearby. People magazine quoted an unnamed friend. "They're focusing on their kids separately right now." Translation: the marriage is on ice, and everyone's NDA is trembling. Endorsement executives took notice. Reynolds' equity in Mint Mobile sat next to a pending $1.35 billion T-Mobile merger. Antitrust regulators don't love embroiled spokesmen. Meanwhile, Blake's shampoo line asked a judge to seal financial records, calling them trade secrets. But rumor has it, those ledgers reveal hefty payments to Vision PR precisely when the subpoenas flew. As the relationship frayed, the legal stakes climbed from civil sniping to potential criminal storm clouds. Cellbrite isn't a toy. It's a law enforcement tool, and using it without a warrant can trigger federal wire fraud statutes. Baldoni's amended complaint alleges that Lively's camp knowingly procured unauthorized access to interstate electronic communication. That phrase alone launches the matter into FBI jurisdiction. Sources inside the Southern District of New York whispered grand jury interest if the civil docket uncovers a traceable hack. And remember Stephanie Jones? She's gone radio silent, filing a motion that basically says, "I'm not paying for SHT. Immunity deals? Anyone?" But even felony risk couldn't stop Blake from one last PR misfire, one that stuffed her director in a literal closet. February 7, 2025, New York City. The long-awaited premiere of It Ends With Us lights up Broadway. Fans line the barricades expecting smiling selfies of Blake and Justin, co-dreamers on Colleen Hoover's passion project. Instead, Baldoni posts a single photo hours later, him in a dim storage closet, tuxedo creased, ticket in hand. Twitter explodes. Why was the director hiding? TikTok detective or premiere sleuth roams the theater the next morning, finds the closet, films the mop buckets, and confirms the lock matches Baldoni's grainy pic. She nearly gets tackled by security, but the footage goes viral. A studio insider finally spills. Blake refused to walk the red carpet if Baldoni was present, so staff temporarily contained him downstairs until photographers finished. Iffy, public sympathy hadn't flipped yet. That image of a respected filmmaker trapped beside a string mop did the trick. ClosetGate trended for 3 straight days, and Lively's PR firewall melted. At this point, even Blake's allies started scanning for lifeboats. Reynolds has fired the escape flare. Baldoni's lawyers are sharpening subpoenas, and Lively clings to an 800-page complaint increasingly compared to fanfic dressed in legal citations. The judge will rule on Reynolds' dismissal in May. A July hearing looms over Van Zandt Inc.'s subpoena stunt. If the court smells conspiracy, discovery expands, and that means every fixer's NDA could crumble. Reynolds may soon be sipping aviation gin on a yacht, grateful his parachute opened. Blake might find herself arguing fair use over hacked texts while fending off divorce headlines. And Baldoni? He's betting a jury will see malicious parody, stolen data, and Closetgate as proof of a Hollywood smear campaign gone nuclear, because in Tinseltown, reputations rise on red carpets, but they fall in deposition transcripts. And no amount of designer sparkle can outshine the glow of a subpoena served at dawn. Stick around, subscribe, and brace yourself. The next hearing's transcript might be the juiciest script Hollywood never wrote.